So, in the previous session, on your way heading towards Tel Noro, B2 had somewhat of an existential crisis, a physical problem with himself and being drawn towards something far off in the distance in the sky. Traveling towards it and eventually infiltrating after a very interesting parking job by Xander in the hallway, you discovered what's called the Etheric Bastion, a fortress that was created hundreds of years in the future, that was then sent back in time and on its trajectory was lost and stuck in the sky on the material plane because it was originally sent from the Feywild or the Fey realm. On it, you found lots of information about B2's past and maybe his future as well. Details about who the lady with the white hair was, who she is/was, Darrow's interaction with the body that B2 is, and what the crystals or gems on the inside of his chest is, the fact that he was a soldier amongst many millions who were sent back to fight Titans in the Feywild, and something having to do with a time loop that I'm not going to get into all the specifics of, that everyone seemed to be a little bit confused by. But amongst all this incredible information, you discovered that a single cryo chamber on this etheric bastion, which, by the way, was from the Fey court of the Glimmer Deep. Glimmer Deep is the name of the court that B2 was associated with. And in this cryo chamber, parked about maybe 10 or 20 feet, 20 or 25 feet away from this orb of darkness that is essentially a temporal rip in space-time that's basically locking this sliver of this keep in place. Inside of this cryo chamber was another Warforged, a soldier of old / the future. Hard to say. It's hard to keep it all straight because he's technically from the future, but a lot of this has to do with having been sent back to the past. So this figure Uranus, with his decked out like soldier gear, his katana at his side, offered B2 for Uranus to stay with him and be his servant, and to be his bodyguard and to serve him in whatever way that he could, being that B2 specifically has a higher rank, military rank than this soldier does. And if B2 were to release him of that obligation to be his bodyguard, then he would touch this orb and potentially be sent back to when he was supposed to be from, so that he could possibly rejoin up with the army that he was intended to go with. So right now you all stand in an onyx hallway. There is no ceiling here. You can look out at the sky way up above, and there's like jagged edges of the wall kind of sticking out from whatever temporal madness happened here, caused things to be warped a bit on the inside of this section of the keep. Lining the walls on the floor are broken sections of cryo chambers, shattered glass and splinters of wood, and remnants of the almost coffin-like shape of these chambers. Various bits of electronics along the ground as well, magic and otherwise.
Tim, I have a question.
Okay.
Being in such a, for lack of a better term, time-concentrated space, do I feel anything different in, like, what I can handle? Like, my capabilities? Just being in a place that's kind of stuck in time, for what we understand.
Right. From what you can tell, your abilities are not hindered.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question specifically.
No, that's fine.
I don't know if you were looking for any more than that, but
not really.
The
only way I'll get anything
powerful
more
enough to get a level up from being here.
The only way I would know anything more is if I tried something, but I was just
Right.
more wondering, like, making sure that I still can do things.
Yeah. All of
Okay.
your skills and faculties are about yourself.
Okay.
One quick
About you.
question: it's cryopods or the time pods, however you want to call them. You said they're made out of glass, right? And it's shattered, right?
So there's like some type of material that makes up like this coffin, and then the case or the top of it would have been made of some kind of wood, which is interesting, and then glass as well.
All right, and the glass, is it inward or outward that it was shattered?
That's a great question. You can make an investigation check if you'd like to see how the glass was shattered.
Nice.
On an 18. Looking at all of what's here, it looks like there are different scenarios that occurred, and that some kind of the jarring effect of this sliver being held in place probably shattered most of them, but there are a couple that you can tell by looking at it that they were shattered from the inside. Perhaps some of whoever was in here woke up, and then but the tops of them didn't come off. They couldn't get out,
Yeah,
so they
broke
shattered.
out.
They broke out from them. But for the most part, it was definitely this shift in things, like a car slamming on the brakes and everybody going flying through the windshield kind of scenario. Yep.
All right.
But yeah, you do stand here. The most recent things that were talked about were what Uranus's purpose was, asking, I think B2 had asked about like the timeline and like what exactly was going on here. And you got a pretty in-depth explanation as to the etheric bastion and Uranus. And he was just simply waiting for your response as to what you're going to do.
Uranus, step aside with me. Let's chat for a second, just us.
Oh, of course.
And now to the group. I'll be right back. It's just some questions that I need for myself.
Okay.
And we'll go off to the side. So, tell me again, if you touch this, you'll return to your timeline, or at least that is the belief where you're supposed to be.
We're told that if we touch these temporal orbs, that there's a chance of us going back where we belong, when we belong.
What would happen if I touch it? If I'm out of my timeline?
I don't know, and I don't think you're supposed to, but you're in charge.
No, I don't know if I'm supposed to either, but this... I was a soldier. I wasn't meant to be the critical thinker of the timeline jumper. I'm not a doctor, or a time lord of sorts. I'm... Thanks, Jay. But I am supposed to be a part of the loop, this loop that you've mentioned. And it bugs the question, what if I have fallen out of the loop? Does that endanger the future, the past, the present?
Like I said before with the other questions regarding some of these things, this is above my pay grade. I am unaware as to what will happen to you. I know that either you are referred to as Paradox because you complete the loop that causes all of us to, or at least the old world, to live. So Maybe now is the time you're supposed to go back. Maybe not. I think that the best case scenario, this is the time you were supposed to go back, and you're sent exactly where you need to go. Worst case scenario, you break everything.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect you to have the answer. It's just, you never know. You know, maybe I asked the right question and some sort of hidden knowledge was locked behind her. So sometimes I've learned that sometimes some of the more creative people like to have hidden gems behind things. I don't know what the right decision is here. It was just a moment of curiosity. And Darrow will take a moment and look at the group. And he'll be like, there's a part of me that's curious. What would happen if I touch it? What if I am? But there's also there's a part of me that knows not to touch it.
I mean, what do you think it changes for us if you're right and this is when you're supposed to do it? Does this change our reality? Does everything stay the same?
Oh, you're the time wizard. Any insight or?
Nope. No, none at all. None at all.
Insight check.
I'm not as well versed in this situation as I would like to be.
Garen, you've been quiet. Are you secretly studied in the way of timelines?
Well, does it have anything to do with rocks?
You know, it kind of does, right? You know, if you think about it.
Is the thing that
stone?
they are going to touch a stone, like an actual stone, or is it just referred to as a stone? Okay.
Nobody's referring to it as a stone. It's a floating orb that's out over. There's an opening in the floor that just looks out towards the sky, and it's floating about 5 or so feet over this crevasse. By the way, so that Garen knows, you are thousands of feet in the air. By the way, in this floating sliver of a castle up in the clouds.
Yeah, I mean it's like a magic stone when you really think about it.
It doesn't look like a stone. It looks like
But it doesn't look like a stone.
It's a swirling sphere.
Yeah, but like it's a stone.
Sure, maybe to Garen, it's a perfectly smooth, swirling stone. Sure, like a marble stone.
Yeah, like a marble.
Jawbreaker.
Yeah, jawbreaker.
It's about the size of a basketball, maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, so jawbreaker.
A big jawbreaker.
Okay, only a basketball. I was thinking it was like 6 feet tall and like
No.
I was
So
picturing
maybe
something
a little bit bigger. Maybe it's like 2 basketballs. It's it's an orb.
Okay.
Uranus is like, the only way you can go back is if you dribble and score a 3.
Gotta dunk it.
You do a crossover and break his ankles.
Yeah, the crossover sends you both into a portal. It rips time and space because of how hard you break his ankles.
Ugh. I don't know. It's confusing.
I think Razir and Blackstar might have a little bit to say about what you just said. Maybe.
Guess we'll never know.
Clovis, what do you think?
What does Clovis think?
He's passed out on the floor. Smoke coming
I'm
out.
looking between Clovis and Darrow right now, and I'm like, he's been here for like 10 minutes.
I don't remember, man. B2's in charge most of the time. I don't know if it's been 2 years or 5 days since I was last in charge.
I know it's been 5 years.
Oh,
No, I'd be a lot older. Maybe I'd have a beard. I don't know.
oh, sweet summer child, you're not growing a beard.
Yeah, you're not.
I mean,
anyway,
neither are you.
well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. You got me there, Clovis. You'll fit in. I'm not going to take the orb right now. I
You want to bring it with us?
No. I saw my wife in this timeline. She told me to stay. I don't think she was referring to this, but she was saying she knows something. And if I've seen her here, I think the best call is to stay here. Aranis, you're a soldier.
Mhm.
And as your commander, I think it's time for you to go back.
Very well.
But-
Just before you leave, a few of the pods seems like they were broken out of. Do you know where they might be? Like if they somehow found a way to leave here, or if they maybe touched the giant basketball?
No, if they had touched it, the Bastion wouldn't still be in the sky.
Alright, so more B2s or Darrow or Paradox out in the world.
Well, not quite like Paradox, more like myself, which is more of a sentient. Not that the Paradox is not sentient, but just a singular individual designed for a purpose and one purpose only.
Instead of the 3 rots in the chest.
It's possible that if they found the need to break themselves out, that they chose not to touch the orb for some reason. I don't know whether or not they had a commanding officer or not. If they did, and the order was given not to touch the orb, if they all touched it at the same time, they all would have been brought through, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So they must have, if they survived, somehow made it to the ground, and yes, they are amongst the people of your world.
Or they were already out by the time this part of the castle was separated.
Could have been.
So,
So
either way.
let's look out for giant tin can man.
yeah.
All right.
Give us like, a countdown before you actually you touch it, because we will want to fly out before you touch it in case it does like a weird kind of collapse.
It shouldn't be a collapse. It should be, well, if the engines are left on and it was being propelled in a particular direction and there isn't enough of the engines holding it aloft, it will then continue on its trajectory at the speed at which it was traveling when it was in transit, but it will begin to fall. So whatever, I haven't had the chance to look down at where we are or what's below us, but hopefully nothing of civilization is in the area.
I mean, there is a town somewhat close by.
It's 2 squares over. We're fine.
Are we?
But yeah, just
How much time do you need?
Xander, how much time do you want?
Enough to back this thing out. I'll gesture to the puddle jumper, and
Which is not visible from where you're standing right now. It's like down the hall, like way down the hall.
okay,
Around the
enough to
corner.
back our vehicle out, and I don't know.
When we leave, I'm pretty sure there's still going to be like the the strain on the tall jumper? Should we like try and drop as fast as we can?
Yeah, we want to get out of that pressure zone. I
Well,
assume the pressurized zone will take everything within it and go wherever
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going.
No, it's localized to whoever's touching the orb. The orb will disappear, will cease to exist, and everything in the immediate area will return to its normal state. So whatever effects it's had on the area, whether it's the sky or the ground around where this temporal rift was created, it will go away, and everything else around it will return to normal. So if you had trouble earlier, I suspect that trouble will also go away. At least in the area around the etheric bastion.
Yeah. I think the best idea would be you watch us leave. Once we're clear, you sprint back here and touch it. That way, it guarantees we're
walk.
out safe.
Wait, hold on. Just to be clear, Tim, so the orb is localized in that it's just gonna take him with it.
Correct.
Yeah, but the time around the castle, well, the floating castle that is like stopped, is gonna go back to moving like forward in time with.
Right, but then I guess I can ask this in character. Is everything that's currently stuck in time going to accelerate in time and catch up with however long it's uh been paused, or is it going to just continue the way it is? And if so, is this uh, uh ship aircraft any is there
Floating
anything
rock.
anything salvageable from it that we could take or fly? Is I mean, is what can we take from here if it's gonna go down anyway?
So you've already investigated all the rooms that were here and deciphered that you found out anything of value that which was mostly information from here. When you were in the
Right.
engine room, you discovered that it was like severed, like in half. So
Right,
there
yes.
isn't the capability for this thing to keep itself aloft. If you spent much more time trying to understand the technology, you might be able to replicate it. You know that you have the ability to turn the engines off. They were currently propelling it forward. So if the engines were, or I'm sorry, if the temporal thing goes away, then the engines are still on. It goes back to being not frozen in time, and it rockets forward and then downwards because there's nothing holding it up anymore, right? The whatever the propulsion system that was holding it up isn't, and it's shot. It's not enough to keep it aloft, so it's going to fire outwards and then down and hit like a
And
meteor into the ground. As far as
when you say forwards, do you mean like going the same direction we were?
based on knowing where the engines are, because you can't really tell like which direction the keep was facing because you only have a sliver of the center of it, but you know
Yeah.
that the one engine with the, we'll call it a thruster or whatever on the back of it, right, was pointing technically in the direction of the mountains to the south of Tael Noro. But it's unlikely that it would get that far.
Yeah.
That's like 60 miles or something.
Right. Yeah. So it won't make it to crash into Tael Noro.
No way. There's no way
Alright.
that it would. Yeah, even Xander could tell you that.
All right.
Jason, you did have one other question, which was about, like, does it have pent up inertia from sitting here for all this time, and will it then all of that time like fast forward and catch up and like a glitchy YouTube video or whatever that all of a sudden caught up and it's going a million miles an hour? I would ask you to make an intelligence roll, just a straight intelligence roll for Xander. It's kind of a
15?
tough one. That 15? You are not sure.
I just had this thought. We know that. Well, can't figure. You know what? My character wouldn't know that actually, so never mind.
Okay.
I'm not gonna use a chronal shift on that.
I mean, it was a decent roll, but it was a moderately high DC. Anyways, I will say, as Xander, you would know that, or not know, but you would assume that as soon as he touches this orb, you have seconds before everything reverts to being back into full swing. So, it probably will take you less than 5 minutes to get back to the puddle jumper. It will take you probably less than 5 minutes to pull out of the etheric bastion with it. You probably will get restuck in the temporal winds outside of the etheric bastion. Yeah. So all in all, you probably need somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes.
Okay. We should... Obviously, we're going to need the time to leave in the puddle jumper. We should turn off the engine.
What?
If there is some kind of pent-up inertia, which I can't exactly calculate it. I don't have enough time, really, to figure this out. But
if you worked time enough, wouldn't the pent-up inertia that's been built up by the engine running all this time still be in effect if we turn them off now?
Well, right, but if it is still in effect, but if we don't turn them off at all, then it's possible it gets even further, given that the engines would still be on. If we turn off the engines and it takes off, at least the distance is limited. Yes. Let's turn that off. Best case, it just falls where it is. There's nothing beneath us. Worst case, it takes off.
Possibly a herd of giants.
Yeah, so I think that should be our first step. Turn off the engine, get out, and once we're all set up there, Ranos, you can touch the orb. Does that sound like a plan?
Are you going to come back and tell me? How am I supposed to know when you've turned off the engines?
Follow us for now, and then once you see us get on the ship and we're safe, you come back here and touch the orb.
Very well.
I could also just send him a message.
He might be bored just waiting here. So
okay, sure.
I'm sure B2 just wants to wave goodbye to his friend as we
and
leave. That's what...
you could take a tour of your ship one more time, I guess.
Oh. That is not in my interest, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he follows you to the engine room. The door easily opens. In fact, Uranus leads the way because everything opens for him as well as it did for B2. Walking inside, it is, like I said, severed, and a lot of it is open to the outside. But you still see very, very faintly the field of energy that's kind of keeping everything in because of the high altitude that you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
Uranus goes over to the control panel and kind of motions for Xander to come over and for B2 or whoever else wants to come over, and he's just basically showing you what he's doing to turn off the engine in case it's useful information for you later. So he kind of goes through the process, and there's like a little switch, and he flicks the switch, and you can't see the thruster. It's on the other side of the wall that you're standing on right now, but you feel the entire ground kind of like shudder for a second, and then it ramps back up again, and he's like, "That is not what was supposed to happen. Let me try again." And he flips the switch back up and puts in a couple of other things. It's just like a data pad, kind of like what was in the commander's quarters, where he's like entering in information. Flips the switch again, and again the whole place shudders. It's like almost like a mini explosion. A couple of rocks actually hit the outside edge of this field, and pass through it. And then these rocks, these pieces of the floor, which are all made of obsidian, so something's cracked and caused it to fall off outside of it, and it makes it maybe 2 to 10 feet outside of this field, and then it just stops in place outside of this field of energy. And this time the engine finally powers down and stays that way. Yep.
I know you mentioned that I'd already investigated and didn't find anything useful. Knowing that this ship is probably going to crash, and we're not going to get to scavenge it, at least not first dibs, is there anything like a spark plug or any kind of like removable tech that I can see on this dashboard that I can just yoink just to investigate later?
It's all very finely crafted to a point where it's all integrated into the top of this. There isn't anything that can be just simply removed, but you're assuming that there's internal mechanisms here. Do you want to ask Uranus about it at all?
Yeah, yeah. I seeing as though this ship is going to be out of commission once you leave, is there any kind of technology that you think would be helpful for us to be able to have or investigate before you go? That would be helpful in the paradoxes and our journey to hopefully saving this world?
He nods slightly, turns towards B2 Darrow. You trust this one?
Yeah. I trust him with my life.
And without another word, he kind of kneels down, and there is, on the bottom portion of this console, there is no visible door. It's just a flat piece of obsidian. It's like this whole thing set into obsidian. And he places his hand on one side, and part of the obsidian, almost like an ethereal veil, just disappears from the side of it, and you see all the tubes and wires and like liquids to some extent and certain things traveling through. And he like looks back at the group. Does anyone have a knife?
Yeah. And I'll go into my pack and pull out the one dagger that I have.
Takes it from you, and then like reaches his arm inside without. He's not sticking his head in. He's reaching to the one arm with the dagger inside, and you hear like a scraping sound. He kind of grunts for a second, and then something comes loose, and his hand comes out. He's got the dagger and this cylindrical object that looks like, just to easily describe it, it's like a can of shaving cream, basically.
Sure.
That shape, and hands it and the dagger to you. This is a solium capacitor. If something or someone, gesturing towards B2, begins to be filled with more energy than they're capable of sustaining, I think you seem to be one in the way of Arcana. You should be able to use this to absorb some of that energy and perhaps save someone's life in the process.
Okay. Does it dispose of energy on its own, or is it a one-time use? Is
It depends on the amount of energy that's released. Again, not an expert on these things. This is not my field, but I know that that's what this does. So, I don't know where it plugs in. I don't know how it's connected. I don't know anything else other than if the paradox become overloaded, if you can somehow use it to soak up some of that energy so that he doesn't explode, that would be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is enough. Thank you.
Of course. And he puts his hand back on the panel, and it gets covered with obsidian again. It's like silent. The engines are down. And out of this door, you turn left to get back to your vessel. I turn right to go to the orb. This is where we part ways. And Paradox.
Yeah.
It's only been a short time, but I must say it has been a privilege and an honor. Would you do me one favor?
Of course.
And wordlessly, he just walks towards you and extends his arms for an embrace.
I'll give him a hug.
Okay. He puts his arms around you. He's like, and everybody else observing this, them like just hugging, it's like you recognize that Uranus looks way more like B2 than you realize. Like, he looks different because he's got different colored eyes. He has a little bit different coloration to him. But you can see that this is or was meant to be an exact copy
It's
of
the same
B2.
make.
It's the same make. Made by different hands, but it's uncanny. Almost like this is a different individual. It should be different. And it gives a little bit less humanity to B2, that there's one or maybe millions of others that look exactly like him, but then also more so because he was the original.
Yeah.
Is the original. And
His call sign was F3R9. Right?
correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just for something else.
Yep. As he embraces you and your chests kind of touch, there's a bit of a pulse of energy that goes between the two. Nothing painful, nothing dangerous, just something that you now realize you can't share with anyone else other than one just like you. And it
Sounds intimate.
It's comforting. And without making a joke out of it, Jay, no, that's funny. It's comforting. It feels like home. Darrow, if it is Darrow, might be a little saddening for some strange reason. This is what a warm embrace from a loving friend or family member might be. If you've hugged any of your party members or anyone else, you are not getting the same sensation from anyone else. So, anyways, he releases you from the embrace and gives you he actually, funny enough, puts 2 fingers up over where a heart would be, and then touches the 2 fingers to his lips and points them out towards you.
I'll do the same.
You remember.
Yep.
Xander probably would have read about this in a book somewhere. It being like an ancient greeting of elves that was then taken over to the Fey realm at some point throughout history. It's not commonly used on the material plane by elves or otherwise. But it's like Xander would have been like, oh, that's, I know that. Okay. Kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, Darrow and B2 have no idea what it is. Does Garen do it too?
Yeah.
It's heart, lips, and then like you're going to touch the person's forehead, but you don't actually do it. It's just towards their forehead, basically.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, goes over to the door. The door opens for him, and he goes to stand by it, waiting for you to exit.
As we head to our ship, Darrow is going to turn and face Uranus one last time, and perhaps this is more Darrow than Paradox or B2, but he's going to take out his katana and do what he remembers as like his warrior salute. And even though he can't bleed, he's gonna just the dull side of the sword on his hand, and then a fist to kind of be like, we shed blood together, we're warriors. Kind of a warrior salute.
Uranus
because
kind of
Darrow recognizes he's sending this soldier to his death.
potentially.
I mean, at least that's what Darrow's going to.
Oh,
he knows
gotcha.
what he's doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
not to the timeline, but to Darrow. That's what.
Right.
So.
He kind of cocks his head to the side, doesn't say anything, but slowly takes out his katana and mimics what you're saying, kind of holds his fist up.
A warrior
Nods.
salute. I don't know. I'll follow the group to the ship.
Okay. Sheathes it, turns away, and you all watch him disappear around a corner. One of a soldier who has a code of conduct that is like a soldier of old, but is from the very distant future, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You all make your way back to the puddle jumper, which is on its side and was backed into this hallway. And so it's a little bit awkward to some extent because it's... Oh, I believe you... somebody had put... Was it Razir put the rod? Immovable rod so that it wouldn't like tip over one way or the other. So it's perfectly vertical on its side.
All right, up you go, Clovis. There you go. All right, up you go, Xander. Pick you up
Thank
to
you,
the door.
but I can
They're
fly.
gonna say Garen.
Garen, you
You
kind of have to
Garen.
like climb up and like hoist yourself up and in. It's not that big of a deal. It's just but it's there.
Just for the sake of our fun rivalry, B2 will face step. What's up, Garen? Struggling?
Misty step, you mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna call it face step since it's the Fey touch that
nice. That's cool. Can't Garen do that now too?
No. In a few
He
levels.
might have like an earth step thing. I don't think he can just do it.
I think you're thinking about a subclass thing that I don't have yet.
Gotcha.
Garen just throws a rock so fast and then runs equally fast with the rock that it looks like he teleports.
Yep. So one by one, you all climb up into the puddle jumper on its side. Get
cool
kind of
idea.
like you'll have like a couple people that are in chairs that are like facing upwards. They're like laying on their back in the chair, and then the other chairs are on the ceiling. Right? Look, you're like get yourselves up there. Get the seatbelt on, and you're like hanging, looking down at your friends. Xander, you get into the cockpit.
I'll get into the co-pilot.
The blood is rushing to my head.
It'll make you stronger.
He's
Yep.
been on his side for like 30 seconds.
You
When you're that small, blood
He's
travels
not
faster.
very strong.
You
He'll
tell
get stronger,
me when
though.
you're small.
yeah, that's funny.
All right.
So you press all the appropriate buttons, the puddle jumper hums to life, and Razir retrieves his immovable rod, and you kind of pick it up on its side. Now, knowing that this... you're going to be stuck in the air immediately right outside of this hallway. You're parked like right on the edge. Like the nose of the puddle jumper is almost sticking out over the edge, thousands of feet down to the ground, right? And you've managed to elevate now. If you're in the air in the hallway on its side, are you just going to drive out? Because before you had used Wall of Force or whatever to prevent yourself from being affected.
I think I might do the same thing, just to try and get us out. I was gonna say I could do the Interstellar thing, where when they were on the water planet, where he did the spin with the torque.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have enough space or area like for that before we get affected by the temporal field.
Alternatively, just to let you know, a point of thinking. Nope. It's cycled to the chain.
The chainless are here?
Nope.
Oh no! A dog fight.
The Red King flies up.
Oh man. So there is no ceiling where you are right now. If there is no pent up inertia and the etheric bastion just falls out of the sky, you could maintain your position and it will fall out from underneath you, and then you can right yourself and then fly away. But if there is built up pent up inertia, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I definitely want to get us out.
One quick question: to like pilot the puddle jumper, which type of check is it? Is it intelligence, dexterity?
There was, I think you'd used Arcana to. Oh, you mean to pilot it? Well, it depends
Yeah.
on the circumstance. To just operate it would be Arcana.
Yeah, Arcana. Then I'll cast enhance ability with which one is it? Fox's cunning to give him advantage on the intelligence checks
Sure.
for
Nice.
an hour.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, for an
Yeah, and then I will cast Wall of Force to assist us in escaping this awkward situation and the temporal field.
Gotcha. What would remind me of the range on that?
I can make 10 foot by 10 foot panels.
Out to a distance of how far?
Well, I can make 10 of them, so it would be out to 100 feet, because it's a range of 120 feet.
Okay, that was what I was looking for, was the range of, range of 120 feet. Cool. Yeah, I knew it was fine. I just wanted to refresh my own memory. Cool. All right, so these all pop up, these invisible panels, I guess, that I'm making a noise for that you can't hear. It's just cool to make sound effects sometimes. But you arrange them in the same kind of manner that you had them before, and do you fly out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll try my best to right ourselves as we go. Take a little bit of extra time to reduce the damage as much as possible.
Okay.
And then go.
So you kind of slowly pull out of this hallway, and then you slowly start to right the puddle jumper. Everybody goes back to being in their normal position in there, and you kind of crawl out to the edge of the 120 feet, and it's at that moment that there is no sound of any kind, but I don't know if you left the back hatch open, but we'll say that you can see behind yourselves as silently the etheric bastion just falls out of the sky. Just straight down. So whatever has happened, you do see bits of debris in the air around it, almost as though at some point there was an explosion, and you wouldn't have noticed it because of the sheer size of what was left of this bastion, but there's almost like a radius around where the bastion was, like a reverse bubble where there's debris stuck in the air out around to a certain radius from the center of the bastion outwards, where you could see where you could get stuck, right? You're inside of this a reversed sphere of it not being affected. I'm not explaining this very well at all. I'm sorry. There's a bubble out in the middle of the sky that's now no longer affected by temporal problems of getting stuck, and you can now fly freely in that. There's a thin section of it beneath you. The bastion falls through that section, and you see a section of it like get stuck in what's here. So it's like there's a huge, almost like an asteroid field, an almost invisible asteroid field in this section of the sky that just stretches out as far as you can see. That you've now like are tuned into it, and you can see it now. Part of the bastion gets stuck in that, and it causes it to turn onto its side and go into a spiral in the air as it begins to fall thousands of feet down towards the ground.
Maybe that wasn't a great idea.
I mean, what were we supposed to do? If we left the engine on, who knows? Like, it could have exploded. Like, I mean, it's currently crashing down into nothing.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if there's some travelers that happen to be moving at that moment.
Or a herd of giants right below us.
Yeah, I know.
That can't be attributed to us, though. As long as we don't tell them.
It's another world disaster in this world. So.
After these, by the time the end of these brief sentences are had, it doesn't take very long for it to reach the ground.
Oh.
And you do hear the thud. It's a little bit more of a thud as it hits the ground. Because they're definitely, I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh, it's just a giant boulder hitting the ground. I'm like, wait, no, there's a lot of combustible, mechanical combustible materials on that. So it is like not a mini nuke, but it's definitely has a mushroom cloud. It's a poof, and there's a flash of light that comes out from it. And you see an area hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet out from where it impacted into the ground are just leveled. And the forest underneath where it sits... Actually, let me just look at the world map. You guys are all on the world map. I'm not. Okay. So it's more of open area there, but there definitely are trees down below. So it leaves a crater behind. There's the mushroom cloud. There's a shockwave that goes out. Can't see any like people or anything else on the ground that may or giants that were affected by this.
Who
But
were there?
it ripples outwards, and as it hits the edge of the mountain, that ripple of like force like curls up the side of the mountain and then eventually dissipates upwards. So it was a pretty powerful explosion.
I think that will actually play in our favor. That might bring some attention from Noro. That might pull some of the chainless or the spike club out of there, making it maybe a little safer.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to go down and scavenge it, but I really don't think that it's worth it.
Well, I'm sure we'll take them some time to get there, but we also have to be considerate of our fuel and our time of travel.
Yeah. All right.
Greater treasures await you, Xander.
I hope so. Ready to go?
To the beautiful city of Noro.
Let's rock it.
Because remember,
You know,
Daryl thinks it's a
the
beautiful
back-
city from his memory.
The back gate of the puddle jumper slowly kind of closes behind everyone, and you're back in your sealed area. We're not gonna have any rolls. We've finished this little leg of the journey here. So you fly out of we'll call it the stuck zone. And you fly downwards. I'm assuming you're not going to be flying at 5,000 feet. You're probably going to go down to more reasonable 1,000 feet or less, probably, as you're traveling now at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. It's about, we'll say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have approximately, I think it's 10 miles an hour. This is, oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, you had you'd flown about 4. You had another 4 to go. Say about 3 to 4 hours until you reach where Black Star is going to tell you to land to try to hide the puddle jumpers, so you can actually go in on foot to tell Noro.
Okay. I have a couple of conversations that I want to have.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta pee really quick first. So Xander says, "Wait, open the back hatch. I gotta go to the bathroom."
There's no bathroom in the puddle jumper. All right.
Nope. There sure isn't. No, you guys have all been urinating out the back hatch this whole time on your multi-day
Not all of
journey.
us.
No, well, some people don't have to. Yeah.
I guess that's one of the privileges of this body is no bathroom breaks.
Yep. Garen's been going in a bucket at the back of the puddle jumper this whole time.
He's afraid of heights.
Garen didn't know he was afraid of heights, but being 1,000 feet in the air certainly makes that.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm. And so, coming back to the game, Jason, you had a conversation you wanted to have.
Yeah. While we're kind of in flight and I have it on some autopilot, I'll look over towards Darrow. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. You know, it's not every day that you find out that you're a key to a giant master plan to save the realm, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess talking with this group, finding out grand schemes involving your life, tend to be a habit here.
Yeah, feels a little strange sometimes that we've all kind of been brought together. I'm not really one who believes in a fate or a destiny, but the longer we're all together, the more inclined I am to believe that it's less of a coincidence. I'm also sorry for snooping on your memories and stuff. I was a little too curious for my own good, and I should have respected your space.
That's fine. I don't. One could argue that they're not even my memories. They're memories that have been implanted in me. You know. Besides, I'm not. I'm not always the most reflective, so it was fine to have another perspective in it. It's confusing, but back from when I'm from, we always said the gods were confusing. The way they play, or that they have plans for us, or you know, we the gods are strange. But I get a sense that that's not necessarily an excuse in this time anymore. I haven't seen any temples or shrines to any of the gods that I know.
Yeah. I mean, in any case, do you think it helps you at all to know that, I don't know, maybe there's a piece of the person that you once were possibly alive in this world?
Yeah, well, there's some piece to that. At the end of the day, as a soldier, I've learned that sometimes the best you can do is keep marching forward. And right now, I think that's all I can do. And I hope that I can discover more about myself in the time to come. I also want to know what finally got me. That would be kind of interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
not everyone's curious about their own death, but I'm kind of curious.
Well, maybe one day I can see it for you if we can't find it.
Mm. Well, I've heard of strange cases where seers or future seers can do that, so perhaps that will be a possibility.
Maybe. In any case, just for precautionary measures, and I'll pull out the capacitor that I'd received. Um, does it look like there's like a slot? Like I'd have to plug this into B2 in any way? Do I open it like a Ghostbusters canister and it just sucks things in? Like what is the mechanism? Like what does this mechanism look like? Like it's a canister, clearly, but
Yeah.
like
It has a
do I have to plug it into
concave.
him?
It has a concave section to it that looks like it would integrate with things like the orb that you've seen that Black Star has, or inside of B2's chest where the 3 Solium gems are. There is a central point that has a slightly raised section where it could be placed over, probably, but his chest would have to be open for that to happen. And a lot of other Solium devices you've seen have had this little like bump on them.
Okay.
No real. Anyways, it looks like it could fit on anything that's designed to interface with Solium fairly easily.
Okay. In any case, I think it's worth us getting, I mean, everybody, but, definitely us getting familiar with what this can do. I mean, from what I can understand and tell, there's a third consciousness in you, and it's either dormant or still alive, but I'm more inclined to believe that it's dormant. and we just need to be ready to pop this thing. And I know we've had some hard times getting your chest open in the past. So I just want to make sure that we've kind of covered all of our bases and we are actually able to do something and maybe save you one day. If that's what you want.
Well, we know where the latch is now, so that makes it easier. But I think it's best for now that you hold on to it, because a different scenario might arise, or I can hold on to it. But this is a tool that could be helpful in a different situation as well. So I don't want to plug it in and forget about it.
Right.
So we could put it in a bag of holding where it will be safe, if you would like. Or if you want to hold on to it. Xander, I trust you. I'm not the most forward person, but I didn't touch the orb because I trust everyone here. Except maybe Clovis, but I trust that something good will come of this group. And if the timelines are supposed to happen some way, then I'm supposed to be here. You might not believe in fate, and maybe that's the role of a time wizard like yourself. But as a simple man, I believe in fate, and here we are.
Yeah. I'll keep it in my pack then. And I guess one more thing, that greeting that you both did in there with the finger to your lips thing.
Yeah.
Do you actually know what that was?
I think so. I think my wife taught me that at one point. But I wouldn't say I know what's more than that. It was something special to her, and so it was special to me.
I think that's good enough reason.
Do you know of it?
I mean, the only thing I know is that it was an ancient greeting that elves did back in however many years ago.
But she
don't
was an
really
elf,
know.
so.
Yeah, I don't really know much else about it. It could have had a secondary meaning that was not kept in history. All I know is that it was, for lack of a better term, a way of showing respect and saying hello. But I just wanted to offer what I have, because obviously we're trying to find who you were, and I feel like you should be equipped with as much information as possible to do that.
I appreciate that, Xander. I really do.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna keep toying with this thing, and I'll slap the capacitor. And
No, I'm just joking.
He's gonna become Dr. Eggman with the Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and get more familiar with this, so that way I know what to do if anything ever hits the fan.
I have faith in you. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
What's a fan?
Gosh darn it, Clovis!
There's fans in this world.
That's why I don't trust you.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Is there anything that Garen wanted to talk to any of the group about?
I'm trying to get my bearings of what's happening. So I'm
I
trying
know.
to see if I can have a conversation involving that. Maybe that I just play into Garen not understanding things.
Yeah.
I also thought about the fact that he's probably upset about the fact that it feels like everyone, like B2 was his buddy in terms of like they felt like they were in similar intelligences in terms of just like, oh, that's cool, this is nice, that's shiny, that's strong. But now Darrow's like talking all well, and Garen just like, all right, no, it's just me left who doesn't understand things sometimes.
Well, you still have Clovis now.
No, yeah, for now. Uh, no, I don't think specifically at this moment I can think of something he'd want to have a conversation about.
Okay. Yeah, during the long rest that was mentioned, that will probably happen like at a campfire, or maybe not a campfire. We'll see what the scenario is. If you guys want to keep more hidden, Anyways, we'll maybe once you hear more conversations when everybody else, the full group is here talking about things, might spark things. How about Clovis?
Nope, nothing.
Okay.
The only thing, just because I want to do it before I forget, while Xander's maybe taking over like the main piloting, Darrow in the scabbard of his katana is going to carve F3R9.
Nice.
Ferg.
Okay.
Just
Ferg.
It's something he remembers doing, that any soldier that died under his watch, he remembered their name in a journal or something, but being this is different. And while he doesn't, obviously we don't know, but to Darrow, he
Right.
feels like he's
lost a soldier. Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. So that's awesome. I really like that a lot. The puddle jumper continues on its journey towards Tel Noro. And after another 4 or so hours of travel, we will come back to the description of what you see and where you'll be landing. I know that it's an early night, but obviously this is what needs to happen for today.
Yeah.
And that's where we'll go ahead and end tonight's session.